So grow the things that you love, someone in your family loves, or you can't get, and you love it. So the first thing on my list, because I usually do this semi-alphabetically, is alliums. Now what is an allium? Allium is onions and garlic and all the assortments that those come in, because there's all kinds of odd bits and pieces, leeks and this and that and the other thing, and they're all slightly different. They're monocots, which means if you have used, there's two kinds of plants that grow in the garden, monocots and dicots. It has to do with the actual form of the plant when it comes out of the seed. And if you have had your soil infected with something like a grazon or something else that has ruined your ability to grow other things, you can grow monocots. So that means you can grow alliums, you can grow grasses, which includes corn. But you know, that's a whole nother video. We've talked about that before. Alliums. Am I going to grow any this year? I don't know. Actually, I do know. I'm growing garlic right now in 10-gallon buckets. I experimented with growing it in the greenhouse last year, and it did not like it in there. It was attacked by everything. And I thought that was weird because garlic is something I could grow easily in the yard. So this year I took all my little leftover garlic bulbs and stuff and planted them in 10-gallon buckets, and they're outside in the snow. They'll be fine. And if they aren't fine, I at least tried it, but they should be fine. Am I going to grow onions this year? I don't know. I really love candy onions, which is a sweet onion. It, although it's not considered to be a storage onion, they store well. I may grow some. I have to decide if I'm going to grow them and when I'm going to grow them. I do have the seeds, so if I decide that I am going to grow them, I have viable seeds. I also have, I can get those from multiple sources. I have some here from Haas. I also have Duster, which produced a smaller onion, but we still really liked it. It is a pretty sweet one too. And everything in this whole section here is either Duster or candy. And then I do have some leeks and stuff. I probably will not grow the leeks again. I can't decide how much of it was us and how much it was the environment, but we decided it wasn't worth it. We don't use enough leeks. After alliums, the next question becomes beans for us. We grow both bush beans and pole beans usually. We'll also grow soybeans some years. This past year, our favorite and the most productive bean we have ever dealt with was Provider. And we loved it. It is an easy to harvest bean. It produces just buckets and buckets of real green bean flavored beans. And yeah, totally wonderful. We did not have any success with our yellow beans this past year. Honestly, without checking my notes, I couldn't even tell you if I planted any. It was such a crazy spring. But we could not get the kind of beans we used to grow, which is Carson. Carson was our go-to yellow bean for many, many years. But they were continuously experiencing, the variety was continuously experiencing crop failures and things like that. And it got to the point where we just couldn't get it, or we'd wind up going to a third-tier seed producer, and sometimes their germination rates, they don't even give them to you, and they're not as good, and you get half of the seeds not being viable or something like that, so we just decided to quit on that. I do have a variety of yellow beans I'm going called Goldilocks. I think that is from, let's see, pretty sure Goldilocks is from Johnny's. Yeah, it is. It's from Johnny's. And I'll be trying that again this year to see if we can make that work. Pole beans, I will be doing red noodle. It's an Asian bean. They call them yard-long beans. They're not really yard-long, but they frequently are 18, 20 inches long. And they grow out from like this little bud section. You'll have 2 or 3 beans, sometimes as many as 4 that come out of one little cluster, and you wind up with these long beans that are fun. I'm going to try growing them in the greenhouse this year to see if that works better. We've had a huge problem with cucumber beetles the last couple of years, and that is changing some of the things that we've planned to grow. We've decided that husk cherries, which are in the tomato family actually, we'll probably not grow this year unless we can figure out how to control the cucumber beetles, because they are like a magnet for cucumber beetles. And if there's anything we don't need, it's a magnet for cucumber beetles. So that's what we're doing for beans. Beets, I have Touchstone Gold, which is a yellow beet, and Red Ace, which is a red beet. I'm going to try it again this year and see if I can get them to grow. We've had poor results with beets in the greenhouse. So I may decide to try growing them in a bed in the yard just to see if I can make it work. Brassicas, that's the cabbage family. I'm getting ready actually to start growing a whole bunch of these guys. We like cabbage, and we have a couple of varieties of cabbage that we do. Pak choy is our most common one, and not pak choy, geez, tiara is our most common one, and that is a Johnny's variety. We also have an assortment of cabbages. We have Stonehead, which is a Haas Tools. And the way we will make our decision on this is we will decide to choose cabbages which come ripe at different times. So, for instance, if I were to choose, let's see, where's my brassicas? There they are. If I were to choose, this is an old variety I probably wouldn't grow, but this is a Copenhagen market. This is 65 to 80 days. Stonehead is 70 days. Let's see, kohlrabies. I know I have some other cabbages in here. I don't have these sorted by type. There's the broccolis, the cauliflowers. There's tiara. Tiara is 63 days. So if I were to plant all of those at the same time, they would not be ready at the same time. And that is one of the tricks that you can use when you're planting things. I could plant, for instance, 2 varieties of carrots that one is an early season carrot that's due in like 50 days, and another one is a late season carrot that takes 75 days. I could plant them the same week, and they're going to be spaced out in my garden. And that's one of the tricks you can use to space things out without having to actually space out your planting. So I'll be doing cabbage for sure. I'll be doing kohlrabi. We love kohlrabi, and there's a couple of different varieties. The only variety I have had 0 good luck with is the purple variety, which I had tried. I got it from 2 different sources. I tried it from Johnny's, and I also tried it from Haas. I think I still have some of the Haas. Yep, purple Vienna kohlrabi. 0 luck with making that work. For whatever reason, it produces leaves, but I never get the bulbing. And I don't have any clue, because it could be sitting next to another pot that's full of the regular green kohlrabi, and the regular green kohlrabi will do awesome, and the purple kohlrabi will do terrible. It will never, ever, ever form a good ball at the base. Kohlrabi looks like a little alien. It's got a ball with leaves sticking out of it. If you're growing it someplace that's protected, where everything stays kind of tender, like in the greenhouse, you can eat the leaves. If you're growing them outside, usually the leaves get kind of tough and really cabbagey, so we don't eat them out there. But they're lovely because you can harvest them, and they'll hold for at least as a minimum 2 weeks in the fridge without any degradation of quality. We like to make them into slaw. We rarely cook them. We've experimented with cooking them, but they're so delicious as slaw, why would I bother cooking them? Pak choy, I've mentioned that before. We use a Johnny's variety for that, My King choy. I'll have Henry spell that out on the screen for you, because it's not spelled the way it sounds. That's just wonderful. It's a baby pak choy, and you can use it at any stage, or you can choose to harvest leaves off of it and just let it go. and we do both. Broccoli, we will do Emerald Crown, and we used to do Atlantis. Now, I think I do. I have some Atlantis seeds left. These are a couple of years old. I may try growing them anyway, just as a comparison. They've been discontinued. It's a Johnny's product, and they have been discontinued. Usually when things have been, and they're an F1, so you're not going to grow them for seeds. When something is discontinued, it's usually discontinued for a reason. Usually the reason is that they've found a better variety. So I have ordered one of their other broccoli that's considered to be a baby broccoli, and I'm going to try that. I think it's called Sweet Stem. Got that written down here. I will probably also grow a little Emerald Crown. That gives you a bigger center head, but not as many of the side shoots. I may or may not grow Choy Sum. That is an Asian vegetable. We liked it, but it tended to attract thrips and aphids, which is never a good idea. So I got to think about that. New battery in the camera. I could see the camera battery notification thing on the screen over here, and I'm just watching it go down, and I'm like, I don't want to lose this. Okay, continuing with the letter C, because that's how I do my list of things here. Cantaloupe. Our favorite cantaloupe is Hannah's Choice, which I believe is a Johnny's. It is. There we go. Ta-da! Johnny's. But Hannah's Choice is excellent. It has pretty high productivity. It produces what they call personal-sized fruits. So it's fruits that are about this size. They're the classic cantaloupe, veiny surface sort of thing. Really good. We have grown Hannah's Choice on and off for probably 30 years, I'm guessing. And we have experimented with other varieties, and we keep coming back to Hannah's Choice. So it works here. You know, when we lived in Massachusetts, we could grow pretty much any kind of cantaloupe, and it just worked there. Here, because we get extreme temperatures, I mean, you know, 105, 110 degrees, and, you know, 5% humidity, 10% humidity a lot of times, winds that'll just dry the bejesus out of any plant, all that kind of stuff. We need plants that are tough, and Hannah's Choice has always worked for us, so that's why we stick with it. One of the things that you need to do as a gardener is experiment to see what works for you. Just because I say that provider bush beans, now provider bush beans is an unusual circumstance in that they are a specific organization that rates seeds for all of North America and Canada, and they give a standard, and if they choose a bean or anything else as a plant, it means that you're likely to be able to grow that pretty much anywhere. Let's see, carrots. Probably our favorite type of carrot is Hercules. I have also very successfully grown and Hercules is available for a bunch of sources. I have gotten them from Johnny's before. I have gotten them from Haas Tools. Let's see, carrots. Who else do I have here? I have an assortment of carrots, and this is from my experimentation things. Mokum is a really good carrot from Johnny's. Do I have any seeds left from them? I think I just ordered some more of the Mokum. Yeah, I did. One of the problems that we're having this year is that some of our favorite things are just not available. I have some other ones from Haas. Bolero was good. Purple Haze was good. Romance, that's from Johnny's. And carrots are like cabbage in the sense that you get a big spread of, I always think of it as due dates, of dates to maturity on carrots. For instance, Mokum is 54 days for a full-grown one and 36 for babies. Hercules will run you 65 days. Bolero will run you 75 days. Purple Haze, 75. Yeah. So you can easily, and Romance is 70. So you could easily have a whole variety of carrots spaced out, like I mentioned before, by when you plant them. I love fresh carrots. If you have never had carrots fresh out of the garden, the skin is so tender that you do not need to peel it. All you do is scrub it. And there's quite a wide variety of flavors available in carrots. Every carrot is not created equal. They are generally sweet. Some of the older varieties are less sweet than others. The ones in the grocery store are okay. And if we run out of carrots, I buy them from the grocery store. But my preference is to go out and harvest them when I need them. In other words, not to harvest them all at once, but to go out and say, no, this is an extra big one. I think I need this one and that one for the stir fry tonight, and just harvest those carrots out of the buckets and leave the rest until later. They're fresher, they have a higher vitamin content. What's to hate about that? And they're not clogging up my refrigerator, because refrigerator space becomes a big deal. Cucumbers. My husband loves cucumbers. I do not love cucumbers. However, I make a whole stack of different kinds of salads and relishes and pickles and all kinds of stuff from cucumbers for him. So right now, the last couple of years, I have grown fewer cucumbers than usual because I have an entire pantry full of cucumbers and things like that that are turned into various kinds of relishes and pickles and stuff. So until he starts to eat that down seriously, I am not growing more cucumbers. I am growing enough to provide him with fresh stuff. I will see how we do by the time it is time to plant cucumbers in the spring, because you don't plant cucumbers here for several more months. They are very frost sensitive. I will plant some Tasty Jade for the fresh stuff. Tasty Jade is a Johnny's product. It is a long, thin, I think it's technically a Japanese cucumber. They are almost seedless. Even if you miss one, they're considered to be a hybrid specialty cucumber. If you miss one, like in the yard, because I used to grow them in the yard at one point, and sometimes, you know, things get buried under leaves and stuff, and they can be pretty darn big, and they are not yucky. They do not get super tough skins and large, yucky, seedy things. No, they're still yummy. So as far as cucumbers, that's probably what I will grow. If he manages to mow through a whole bunch of the relishes and stuff before summer, I may grow some Market More or one of the other standard production cucumbers for pickling. But if not, I always have a few extra of the Tasty Jade, and I'll use those instead, because they make relish and stuff just fine. Herbs.